reflections of being sober over the past year, and yeah, unplanned mind dumping, not choking from sage so that the blessing does not become a curse. Okay, so first, as always, I want to thank my patrons over on Patreon: Lauren, Kim, Ricky, Zayanya. Thank you so much for just being here and me celebrating a year on Patreon and now a year sober, and just showing up every month and continuing to believe in me and support me. Y'all rock. So let's get into it. So, a year sober, man. I think that one of the first things that I really have learned that's been a pretty continual thing that I think that will always continue to be something that I need to have in my life, to have balance and to replace the harmful habit of substance abuse, is just having a strong foundation of spiritual practice. And for me, that really is connected to meditation, journaling, and I think that more recently I've realized how much I struggle with, food addiction and, lack of sleep, and even with fitness, getting outside, just kind of putting myself in scenarios where I'm reminded that the world is huge and I'm just, this one little person in this huge world, and there's still lots around me to be grateful for. And I mean, just the awe that I experience from being in nature, and the peace and the healing that I experience when I, move my body, and when I feed it what it needs, and when I'm well rested, and just small things like that, that are still huge blessings and privileges, but just small things like that, just basic needs, and treating my body and my mind well in those ways on a regular basis, I think really has helped me to feel fulfilled as a person, and thus not needing as much to reach outside of myself to soothe in a negative way, i.e. with drugs and alcohol. I would say that being sober over the past year has really helped me have more quality relationships in my life. Like, I've been able to be more honest with my partner. I've been able to be more honest with my family, with friends, even with new people that I meet, and I've gotten to meet so many different types of people due to being sober. I've gotten to meet more of my community, the LGBTQIA plus community. I've got more queer ladies around me. I've been able to meet more believers in Jesus. I've been able to just meet other sober people as well, which has been really cool. Recently, I was in Denmark for a couple of weeks, and the woman who tattooed my arm celebrated recently 2 years of sobriety. And I didn't even know that. And it was only because, I only found that out because I shared why I was getting the tattoo. I felt like celebrating a year of sobriety is, to me, completing a cycle, almost like a butterfly completes a cycle from a caterpillar, and then it becomes a new being. And I, felt like despite the ups, despite the downs and the struggles of the past year, even during the global pandemic, even during the pandemic that is still happening, I feel like I was able to still steer clear of drugs and alcohol, and I wanted a way to celebrate that. I mean, I wanted to celebrate it in many ways, and I obviously did. I went to another country. I, celebrated by going out to eat. I made a post about it. I shared with people, but I also wanted to get something that, was kind of with me also. So I wanted to get the tattoo, and I found out that she was sober, and then she invited me and my boyfriend to a gathering of rappers and poets and all types of people who have different types of vocations. And Peter and I got to perform, and they had non-alcoholic beers there in addition to alcoholic beers, and it was just this beautiful collection of all these different types of people. And that would have never happened if I hadn't got a tattoo, and if I hadn't had a need to celebrate and get a tattoo. It would have been something else random, maybe, or maybe not random, because I'm pretty thoughtful when it comes to tattoos, because it's a tattoo, it's not going anywhere, so I don't want to get something random ever. But just all that to say, like, things really come together when you make a choice for yourself that's healthy. I feel like everything else aligns, in these really beautiful ways. And there's these moments that occur where you're like, oh my God, like, I would have never had this experience if I hadn't done the work and I hadn't chosen to embark on the really difficult but really necessary journey of self-love, which is, for me, in my case, choosing to be sober. And I'm sounding like I'm choking because my window is ever so slightly cracked with all this beautiful sage smoke churning throughout the room, mostly throughout this space. Dying, living, okay. Yeah, I would just say that being sober has really helped me set better boundaries in general. And don't get me wrong, like, I still struggle with people pleasing and things of that nature, but I think every day, I reclaim my voice a little bit more. And I think that that's really powerful, and I think that being sober has also given way to all of these really healing creative outlets that I've recently taken advantage of. Like, I've cranked out so much more music because I'm sober. I've now started to do these meditations. After meditation has really helped me get sleep and have less anxiety and set better boundaries with myself and with other people and have a better understanding of myself. I think I really wanted to create something like that for other people. So I wanted to make meditations as a result, and it's just really helped me to, I think, live a more authentic life. And I never would have started to make these videos, and I definitely wouldn't have been aware, I think, of the other areas of my life that have deficit without this first journey taking place. And even now, like, I think boundaries are super important. And for example, like, I hurt my back a few weeks ago at CrossFit, and it was like a week before our recent trip to Denmark, Peter and I was really distressed about it because I was like, what am I gonna do? We have to, the public transit situation in Denmark is, well, you take the train or the bus or you walk. Cars are really a huge privilege because they're so expensive to have over there. And the tax on them is insane in comparison to cars in the US. But yeah, like, it really just forced me to, like, rest, whether I wanted to or not. And it also forced me to, like, what else is contributing to this back injury right now, apart from my overzealous behavior at the gym? Like, am I eating stuff that's gonna inflame it more? Am I drinking enough water? Am I getting proper rest? Am I now, like, gonna take the time to remedy my back and make sure that I don't jump back into something that I don't need to jump back into? Are there other practices that I can do in its place, like yoga, or like just stretching, or just going on more walks or whatever? So I think that really was helpful. And now we're back in the States again, and we've been back for a couple days, and I'm still not ready to go back to CrossFit. And I could feel bad about that, or I could understand that if I'm supposed to go back, I'll go back when it's time. And going back prematurely could thrust me into injury again. Just having that kind of self-awareness, I think sobriety has really afforded me this space and the awareness to just understand myself and be willing to hear what my true innermost desires are at any given moment, and just being more willing to listen to that and honor it. And oh my God, so many things. I started therapy and sobriety coaching and couples counseling as a result of being sober. I mean, I didn't care about any of that stuff before. I mean, I might have thought about it, or, you know, like it just, and I've now been seeing, you know, these counselors and sobriety coach for the past year. And it's really just been super helpful just to have an objective, you know, outsider perspective of my life, where it's not just, and you know, journaling does that too in a way, but it's also just cool to talk to someone and have someone who doesn't really know anything about me and doesn't have any personal stake in my life really, other than like their professional opinion that I'm paying for, right? To just be able to talk to somebody like that about my life has been really helpful and special and healing, and really has given me a lot of personal revelations and epiphanies about why I operate the way that I do. So that's what I will say about sobriety over the past year. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, and yeah, it is what it is. And I'll be talking to y'all again soon for the next topic, but that's all I have for today. I'm really grateful to be over a year sober now, and yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. If you're interested in becoming a patron over on Patreon, please join via the link in the description. You'll have access to videos like these. You'll have access to song covers, to song downloads, to descriptions about, you know, behind the scenes processes. You'll have access to art that I create, visual art, as well as auditory art. And that's it. That's all. Peace.